Hi, let's do the good life meditation. Although I'm not in a state to do a good job, I'll do my best. Let's just start with the objectives. There are 7. So I am had a rough experience out there in the desert just now. Probably shouldn't do this now. I should probably lay down, but I'm going to give it a try. See if I can do this in a slightly what's the word? My brain's a little fried. That's it. Okay, first is the objective to be always ready to die, which almost happened. It's funny because as I got back, and I poured water over myself, and then laid down in the sand here, and my heart was just racing. My skin was like a flame. Not much sweat. Just the temperature had gone so high. And I laid there, and I asked, I took a quick catalog. Am I ready to go? And, yeah, I think I am. I don't want to go, but, my wife and daughter will be well taken care of. The life insurance will kick in. There's a lizard coming down by my... Check this out. It's going to come around the pack, I think. There it is. See that? Right by my shoes. Eating ants, maybe? It's kind of blurry, out of focus, huh? Let me fix that. See that? That's how the snakes hunt too. That's when I'm hiking at night in the wash. I have to watch out for the areas around the edges where the water should, because they go right along the edge like that. The snakes and the lizards do to hunt. But anyway, interesting. That's like the 3rd one that's come by since I've been sitting here this morning. Oh, by the way, I'm in Siberia right now under the writing bridge. I just finished writing the chapter for the Principle of Public Speaking, which I enjoyed writing in this delirium. That's the word I was searching for earlier. Delirium. Mind is in a bit of a delirious state. So yeah, I guess I am ready to die. Life insurance will kick in. I've said I love you to everybody. I've got everything in place. I've done everything I need to do. Yeah, but I don't want to die. But kind of a sobering thing is, I lay there on the ground just now, like an hour ago, like that was, and my heart I could feel I was laying there, and even after like 20 minutes of laying there, I could still feel my heart just pound, 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 pound. That was worrying me. And I was like, no, I don't want to go. I don't want to go. Okay, I'm ready, but I don't want to go. All bags are packed, but I don't want to leave. I mean, not bags are packed. It's not quite like that, because there's nowhere to go, I don't think. So it's like, everything is, the house is tidied up. But I'm ready to go. Number 2 is the good and effective use of time. Such a good use of time today. Wow. So glad I came out here today. Even though I almost got it. Is this too close? There, that's better. Even though the desert almost got me just now, it's a good use of time. Try to do that as much as possible. Even the hard stuff is a good use of time, especially the hard stuff sometimes. Because it's from the hard stuff that, it's cliche, but it's from the hard stuff that we realize the good stuff sometimes. Often. Usually. Exclusively, perhaps. What really good comes of good? I mean, of course, I don't think there's any objective good out there other than well-being. I guess good is suggestive that well-being has been achieved in some state, right? Perhaps. But it's always the best of stuff. The growing stuff always comes from the hard stuff. Like this last 6 months with the new job. Gosh, I've grown so much. Just reflecting on this, I was recording some Stoic poetry over here, you know, because I write those things and then I come out here and or I go somewhere and I record them. And I was like reading them. And it was from that period of when I was in the job transition, before I stopped being creative at all to focus on the job. And I realized, well, I couldn't have written this if I hadn't made that choice. It wouldn't be there. And now it's mine. Thank goodness for hard choices. Okay, now 3 is the development and maintenance of good and sound life principles. That's right over there, right? See, it's all written up here on the thing. Yeah, good life principles, number 3. Over there. And that's what I do right here. That's what I'm doing right now, actually, is trying to work on those things. Trying to work on the good life, which is the book, the sequel to Going Alone. Next is the cultivation of good emotional reactions, to learn to react well to challenging and upsetting things. I'm not as good at this as I'd like to be. My wife's much better. She's a true Stoic. I don't even think she has any interest in that stuff, but she is. She's an incredible woman. So much of the stuff that I work so hard for, she's just got it. It's just part of her nature. Part of it, I think, comes from being Japanese. There's a lot of similarities, I think, between Stoicism and Japanese way of life. The Japanese way of life. Like, think about, you know, the earthquake and tsunami, right? It was tragic, but they are dealing with it in a rather stoic way. There's a lot of tragedy, of course, but very stoic. Likewise, the bombings during World War II, and just about the earthquake in Tokyo. Time after time, the Japanese deal with tragedy as, you know, it can't be helped, and we move on. Sometimes it can be helped, but that's when it falls short. Next is the performance of good actions. If I forget, I can look up there. It's a good hint. The performance of good actions, just doing good things throughout the day. Yeah. Next is the recognition of true limits and true opportunity, to see where my limits are. Like, my limit is right now, if I went out there right now, out there, I could probably make it a mile out, and then if I turned around, I might make it back. If I go a mile and a half out, I won't make it back. That's a true limit. I will die. I know that. It's kind of like being under this bridge is like sitting on a rock in a stormy sea, right? I'm just, the wave crashing all around me. There's fierce, you know, heat, waves of heat just billowing out there right now, and I'm just safe right here. And it's a fearful thing, right? It's like if I jumped off the rocks into the waves, I could swim for a while, but I'd eventually go down. If I try to go out there in that desert, I will go down. But the opportunity is, I have an opportunity to sit here and survive it and make some good use of it. Let the delirium creep in a little bit. Let the heat do what it will with me. And record it a little bit. Turn the camera on. Get the pen out. Get the recorder out. Whatever it is. Something about that. This pushing myself to the limit. You know, it kind of pushes the muse out. She speaks readily under those circumstances. I just don't get over all this wildlife that's just doing their thing. There's a bird right over there beside that bush. Can you see it? Let's see. You see it right there in the shade, right at the edge? It's seated now. It looks like a little stone. Just looks like the stone in the shadow there, right in the, almost at the center. There's a bird just sitting there, looking at me, doing its bird thing. Stop moving. It's that time of the day when everything should probably stop moving, including me. So the next one after true limits and true opportunity. So the limit is that I can have about a mile and a half, about a mile out. I don't even know if I can make a mile, especially after what I just did. Probably half a mile is I could make it safe. Maybe not even that. I'm getting scared just thinking about it. No, I'm not going out there. In fact, earlier I went to the edge to look at something, and I didn't even want to step off. I didn't even want to step over the edge into the light. I was so afraid. It really did shake me up earlier, that experience that I had. I don't want to have that experience ever again in my life. I don't know why I let myself have that now. I didn't mean to. I meant to just go for a walk. Idiot. But I learned something good. Okay, true limits and then there's another one that's not up there, which is it's in red right there. I did write it in there, and that's the one thing slowly. Try to do just one thing at a time and slowly. It's kind of like this cliche principle, cliche objective. It's like, yeah, it makes sense. In practice, it only works sometimes for me because I think I have a multitasking mind. So I think that's back to the limits and opportunity, Doing one thing slowly is, that's well within my limits. I think I can do more than that. So I have an opportunity to do more. So maybe I should rethink that one. I think the motive is good, but I don't know if in principle if I can really do that. Next, now onto I think it's 25 principles, 23 maybe, 23, yeah. Principle of war, to go after every assertion of truth critically, including what you say is true and especially what I say is true. 2, the principle of reason. It's been completely washed off. Can you see up there? Don't look at me. See, it was right there. So there's the principle of war right there. The principle of reason was right there, but the rainstorms that came washed it off, so I'll have to go and write it up there. In fact, let me do that right now. In blue. Idiot, I broke it. I'm barefoot, these rocks are hard. Someone was here, took my chalk and wrote numbers all along the edge. Interesting. That's the homunculus. There we are. There's the principle of reason. So reason is the mechanism that I use to figure out what is true. So reason is has some sub-principles. 3, honesty, objectivity, and doubt. That's too close. So there we go. I got it back up there. Didn't do a good job though. Look at this rock I just found on the ground. It's got some interesting volcanic, it was clearly tossed through the air. It's got holes in it from cooling. Let's go ahead and go to the next principle right up here, which also washed off in the rain. There's the principle of reason. The next one is the homunculus. That's number 3. I just totally screwed that up. I don't even know what I've done there. Just put that chalk right there. The homunculus is the little mortal who lives inside my head and who is the arbiter of right and wrong. It's a reminder that it's a reminder that I don't think I have a soul. Instead, what I have is consciousness, which is an emergent quality of existence. Even slime molds have a sort of consciousness, even though they don't have a brain. They can I'm not slime molds, but like amoebas and the like. Even very, very simple organisms have some sort of a consciousness. They can react to lights. There's something in there that does that. So it's a biological phenomenon that I don't think we completely we don't understand yet, but there's no reason to think there's anything magical about it. And so I remind myself of that by the homunculus. It's going to die with me. It's a little man trapped inside, not really, but an imaginary little man trapped in my cranium running this thing. If I had lain on the sand just now in that heat, after that heat, if I had indeed passed, the homunculus would be like, oh, God, no, no, no. As my body shut down, the homunculus would, last gasps of breath in the brain, and he would go down with me, along with everything, all my memories, everything I hope for, and that'll be eternal. At least the time before now. There's another lizard right over there. Let's see. Can you see it? It's right in the crack up here. There it is, a little further down. Where is it? Why is that not? Oh, there it is. Can you see it? Right there. Why is that not focused? Sadly, it's not focused, but there's a lizard there, isn't it? And there's another one. That's a big one. Right there. He's coming down. He's coming across. Maybe that's the same one. I can hear another one right behind me. He's going off into the sun. Oh well. So, the homunculus is my reminder that death is forever. Then the home of good and evil is another reminder that good and evil don't seem to be anything out there. There's no like 10 commandments that reflect the some indelible good and evil in the universe. Instead, it's just what we think. Those lizards have some inherent sense of right and wrong based on on their biology. Likewise do we. Ours may be a lot more complex, but I don't think it extends. The truth of it, or the mandate for it, doesn't extend any further than us. Like I always like to say, there's no right and wrong etched in the rock unless we do it, and then it's ours. Chisel, chisel, chisel. The universe doesn't give a damn. Next is purpose, the principle of purpose. It's up there somewhere. Our purpose, I think there are 3 purpi. One is to biology, to make more of ourselves, to get our genes into the next generation and get them viable, and then we die and move on. That's a mandate. I think that's inherent in biological life. In life. Life wouldn't be here unless it had that mandate as part of its nature. But again, I don't think that comes from anywhere else other than it's an inherent consequence of the way life works. Second one is virtue. I think we adopted that, or maybe we need some that. Maybe it is more of a biological too, because pursuing well-being helps all of us, and our species would not thrive as well if we didn't do that. And then the third one is to have a mission. I choose to have a mission in life, and it depends on what the mission is at the time. I have 2 missions right now. One is to do a good job at work, the place that my employer, because I have a very worthwhile job, and I'm doing good in the world. And the second one is to continue the process of going alone in the good life, because I think that's a worthwhile thing too. That's why I do this video right now. Next is the atomic principle, number 6. Everything is made of bits and pieces, flowing and changing and forever transforming like sands through the hourglass. So too, very soon, you and I, and me almost happened today. Next is the principle of nature. Everything in the universe has some particular nature. those lizards have the nature of creeping and crawling around in the sunshine, looking for little things to eat. It's the nature of this bridge to provide support for the vehicles above and shade for the things beneath, and to allow floodwaters to pass through, and to allow poetry to be composed and written upon as rafters and beams. Next is the principle of the pirate ride. The pirate ride suggests that we have no free will, that though we're free to make any choice we want, the only choice we would ever make is the one that in fact we did. I can't prove this. This is a principle of faith on my part. I just think that's true. And it just resonates well with me. And so I'll run with that one, as ill-founded and flimsily held up as it is. Next, after the pirate ride, comes the principle of maturity. Two sub-principles, wisdom and fortitude. With experience, we become wise. If we have fortitude, we can apply that wisdom and not make the same mistakes again. Next is the principle of social principle. We are social animals. I need you, you need me. Even though we may not actually meet in person, we don't thrive well utterly alone. If I stayed under this bridge permanently, like sometimes I fantasize about that, just giving it all up and just coming out here. Not really, but when you have a tough day, you can fantasize about escape fantasy. That doesn't happen very often, but when it does, I think about it, and I realize, quick, all I have to do is come out here and spend some time and realize, if it wouldn't last, I'd go back. No matter how challenging civilization is, I'd go back very shortly. This is not my nature to stay out here. And if I did, I would go mad. I wouldn't last. But that wasn't the point. The point was that we're social animals. We need one another to survive, and our best ends are social ends. So let's, even if we're introverts, let's try to find one another and be good to one another. Next, and this is the one I wrote today, is the principle of public speaking. So let's go write that up on the thing, because I just wrote it just now. And maybe let's go write it right up there, right in the very end. There we go. Public speaking on the map now. The idea of public speaking is that I want to, when I talk, I want to use few words, small words, known words, clear words, our words. Our words, of course, meaning that words that we both understand. Even if I have words that maybe we don't, I probably shouldn't employ them if I want to get my message across. Also, public speaking implies always talking about others as though they can hear everything I say about them, so as to avoid slander and gossip. And to when I listen to others speaking about others, to have my head slightly turned away, ready to withdraw should slander or gossip appear. Don't want to be a part of that as either a giver or a receiver. Don't want to participate in slander or gossip. Next is the principle of the Feast of Offal, all the waste and byproduct of our intemperate living, of our careless living, of our unprincipled, undisciplined living. When we get all upset, shake up others around us. Gosh darn the gosh dang, why is it, why? I'm so upset. Beep beep on the horn, and others pick that up and they take it in and kind of shakes them up, and they might, after enough of that, wind up giving that out themselves. And it's this, that's why it's a feast. I mean, you give it out, gobble it up, give it out yourself, someone else gobbles it up, and they give it out. It's this endless thing. So I try not to participate in the so-called Feast of Offal, offal being the waste and byproduct of butchery. Toenails, you know, skin, hair, all the stuff that goes into making sausage. I don't want to be a part of the Feast of Offal, so I won't. Next is the principle of temperance. Temperance, of course, is the controlled consumption of all things. Food, drink, work, play, sex, reading, entertainment, whatever the case may be. Just moderation. Adventure, I should moderate more. And there are 3 sub-principles. Suffering, because when we deny ourselves what we want, we suffer. It's good to be able to push through that. Simplicity, because the simple life is the temperate life. And apathy, because apathy is our ability to temper our emotions in recognition of what is not within our control. Very stoic right there. Very stoic idea. Big train coming down the Klondike, past Klondike up there. It's going to be here probably in 5 minutes. We should hear the honk, 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 honk in a bit. Temperance. Next is, well, that's the honk, honk, honk at Klondike. It's going to also come by here and do another honk. Give it 5 minutes. One more. It's strange to be able to hear it so far away, hear the sound of the rails. Anyway, after the temperance comes the principle of distraction. Distraction is, we try to distract ourselves from the fact that we're distracting ourselves from something by all the busyness that we do, all the stuff that we fill our lives with from childhood right through to death. You know, distraction, distraction, distraction. La 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 la. What are we trying to distract ourselves from? I think we're trying to distract ourselves from that. The great indifference, the emptiness that's out there. Let me find a bit I was reading this morning. I'll read to you. I had spotted a bit of indifference, of a sighting of indifference this morning in my reading. I brought a book with me, Sea Room, about a man who owns these islands, the Sheets, I think they're called the Sheets, the islands in the Shants in the Hebrides in Scotland. And he writes about his experience from age 21 of owning these islands. And he wrote about sailing out there for the first time in a little sailboat, very first time all by himself. And he wrote about coming in through kind of the difficult waves and coming around the corner into the familiar islands. And here's what he said. "This is a longed-for place, but it is so indifferent to my presence, so careless of my existence, that I might as well have not been here." So I highlighted that in yellow right there. Spotted a little bit of the great indifference in the writing of another. That's the thing that we're distracting ourselves from. We don't want to have that observation, which comes of doing things like that, of like sailing a little boat alone into the middle of the what would that be, the North Sea, I think that is, the west coast of England, west coast of Scotland. Come out here, a place like this, you'll have that same experience. So we don't want to do that. So we distract ourselves. More TV, more work, more play, more family, more reading, more sex, whatever it is. Just don't. No, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see the emptiness. The fact that the universe doesn't care, just as he discovered, just as I discovered, and I think a lot of us do. So that's the principle of distraction, and then that also dovetails into the next principle, which is the principle of agency and the great indifference. Agency is this thing that comforts us, this fellowship that we have with one another, and the great indifference is what I just described, the fact that the universe doesn't give a damn. Now, next is the principle of, I did the power ride, right? That was way back. Yeah, the principle of the best seat in the house. To not want to be anyone else, or be anywhere else, or be doing anything else, but to be all right with who I am, where I am, and what I'm doing right now. It's the best seat in the house. It's a tough thing to do. But it's a good thing to try. It's an amazing thing to achieve. The rare times that I can. To be content while all the while striving for better. Strange paradox there. Is that a paradox, or is that just like a strange going and staying at the same time? Here comes the train. Next is the principle of the Path of Wildness. This is the very earliest. This is the first one I ever came up with. You notice they're not in order. I don't put the Path of Wildness first because I tried to place all of these in a way that kind of made sense, that they kind of build one for another. Here comes the train whistle. Listen, stop and listen. Short. Long. Last one. Love it. For example, like the position of the principle of nature and the principle of the pirate ride are next to each other, because if we have a particular nature, that's suggestive that free will might not exist, because we follow that nature and it helps position us towards our in the places that we will be, and the nature will cause us to make particular decisions. Therefore, no free will. Ooh, scary. Hot wind coming through. I don't like that. It's not even noon yet, because you can't even hear under the bridge. You can't escape it when it really gets hot. It's going to be 105 today. When it's 114 out, that wind will kill you, because you can't. It's like the desert summer killers creeps here under the bridge. Right now the killer can't get in. He's out there. But if it's hotter than this and this wind comes up like this, then it's really bad. I'd run. I won't come out anymore, I don't think. Especially after today's experience. I probably won't come out if it's more than 105. I just think I'm too old. It's too easy to die. I got too many responsibilities. And I enjoy life. Next is after the Path of Wildness. The Path of Wildness, I haven't talked about it yet. The Path of Wildness just kind of gave context. The Path of Wildness is the way to move forward in life. It's a way to get ourselves out of a stuck situation where we don't like the life that we're living, or we're bored, or we feel stranded, or just, restless or whatever. But how do we get out of that? How do we go to a new life? Well, the Path of Wildness is easy to find. It's the beast tracked through the brush, the leaves blown in the wind, the course of a stream, and the direction of our first inclination. I didn't say it in the right order, but that's the Path of Wildness. It's like planning, thinking, reflecting, collecting facts, and then making a decision. And if we come to the time when we want to make a decision and we don't have enough facts, then get some more facts. Give ourselves a little more time, and then try again. But don't do that forever, because you'll spend your whole life deliberating. Instead, make up your mind to decide. And when you've got enough facts, you had enough time to think, decide. And if you don't have enough facts, really, but you need to make a decision, then listen to your gut and go in that direction, left or right, forward or back, him, her, whatever the case may be. That's the Path of Wildness. And it's no guarantee of success. Like I like to say, it may lead you off the edge of a waterfall, because that's where I came up with it, was up in the mountains, making a decision left or right, to up to the canyon to the left, or down the canyon to the left, or down the canyon to the right, or whatever, in territory where I had never been. You wouldn't go down a canyon to the left or right, it would be up, yeah. But in particular, I'm remembering a time that was in the desert, and I got to the top of a mountain, decided to go down a different way, and had a choice to go down one canyon or the other. And my concern was that going down one would lead me to the edge, the precipice of a waterfall, and I would run out of light without a flashlight, and now what? And the other would lead me back. And I made the right choice, thank goodness. But I could have made the wrong choice. That's the risk. And you might die. Next is, after the Path of Wildness, is the risk of avoiding risk. Life has surface level risks, education, find a mate, get a good job, buy a house, save your money, plan for retirement, and deep level risks. what the hell do I want to do in life? What's gonna make this life feel really worthwhile to me? Can you do both? It's a risk to give just one or the other. But something's going to have to give if you try for both. I'll leave it at that. That's the risk of avoiding risk. Next is sin and damnation. There are 5 sub-principles, 5 sins in my life. Well, you're not a religious man, Kurt. Where do you come up with sins? Well, I can have my sins. My sins, they all basically relate to believing things that aren't true. And the sub-principles are falsity, just believing things that aren't true. Credulity, a state of mind where you're willing to believe too easily. Falsity, credulity. Faith, ooh, the nastiest of all. Faith is when credulity wears the guise of virtue. Is the desire, the belief in things that are unseen. Right? I mean, that is gullibility. That's the exact same definition. I don't know how we ever came up with something like this that somehow became confused with a virtue. Faith is not a virtue. It's a sin. It's the worst of the sins, because it masquerades as not being a sin. Yet it leads us to find and then hold on to things that may not be true. And we have no interest or willingness to explore to see if that is so. Falsity, credulity, faith, superstition. Do I need to go further on that? And dogma. Hold on, here comes a car. Dogma is the purported truth that's passed down through institutions and generations and time and tradition. And it's true because the book says it's true, or because our ancestors did it, or said it, or believed it, or because, Reverend so-and-so purports this from the pulpit. Sounds like a tongue twister. It's not a virtue. Dogma is an easy way out. Dogma is the way to go if you don't want to do the hard work yourself. And adopting my principles is this form of dogma. Do the hard work yourself. If you have any interest, if you made it this far into the video, 37 minutes, and clearly you have some interest in this, don't take my word for it. Run this stuff through the ringer. I do it every day, every morning. I think about this. Each and every one of these, I pick them up like a stone, and I think about them. Examine this. Is this true? I just had a wave of nausea just come over me as this hot air comes over. I think I'm in a vulnerable state right now. Okay, after this is done, I'm going to lay down on the sand again. Okay, that was hot wind. Sin and damnation. Oh, damnation because you live a damnable life believing things that may not be true. Sin and damnation. Next is complete oblivion, one of my favorites. When we die, I believe that there's no coming back and there's nothing to be found afterwards. There's 3 sub-principles. No final reunion, no with the ones we love or the ones who left before us, no final reconciliation with anybody that we left on bad terms with when we die, and no final judgment, because I don't believe in God. I don't believe there's any judge, any arbiter to set things right in the afterlife. So try to reconcile with the people that try to make peace with those in your life, reconcile with them, and seek out justice, within legal means to the best of our abilities during life. That's complete oblivion. When I came back earlier from that adventure into the heat, I came back, I didn't throw up, but just was coughing like crazy as my heart beat, and I was sneezing, and snot was coming out of my nose. It was just a horrible mess. I'd never had that happen before, quite like that. Even that time years ago when I almost died in the desert for doing the same thing. I just felt that nausea come up. So I'm clearly, even though it's been more than an hour now, it might probably been 2 hours now, clearly my body is on the edge. I'm almost done. Yeah, usually this takes about 45 minutes to an hour. After complete oblivion comes the great life adventure. That's what this is. This is a great life adventure. And you can have big ones and little ones. This is a little one. I do this over a weekend. Maybe just a day and a night. And then I have big ones, like the adventures that I've had over the decades with my wife of Japan and America and Japan and America and back and forth. Being various people having different lives, different communities, different friends, all that stuff. Those are all great life adventures that really do season things. And now that I'm almost 56, I really do realize that you can't postpone that. If you have the idea that I'm going to I'm going to go to college, find somebody to marry, settle down with a family, buy a house, and I'm going to work for 30 years, then when I'm all done, I'm going to go out and have a great life adventure, I think you're fooling yourself in a way. It's going to be a superfluous, it's going to be a superficial life adventure at that point. It will kind of have the feel of it. You'll go on a cruise, you'll get a motorhome, you'll have work on the house and the garden, whatever, and it'll feel good, but it won't be anything other than you. It'll be you recreating. It'll be you on vacation. It'll be you with the clippers. It'll be you looking through the photo albums. You gave up your other selves. You gave up the chance to live more than one life in the course of one life. You chose one life, and once you're my age, you're kind of stuck with what you chose. For some, maybe that's not a problem. I expect for a lot of people that's not a problem at all. It would be a problem for me. That harkens all the way back to that principle over there. Number one, always ready to die. If I hadn't had all those life adventures early on, that were very costly, I'm paying the price now in terms of security. If I hadn't done those things, at this point, would I have come back from the desert just now, laying on the sand, my heart beating, the skin flushed with red, and just feeling like I'm about to die? And would I have said, yeah, it's okay, everything's settled, I had enough adventures, it's all in good shape? No, maybe I would be still thinking, what did I miss? So much wasted time. So the great life adventure, start young. And if you don't start young, you're not going to get that. You don't get a second chance. Sorry. You get some chance, but it won't be the same. And it's not for everybody. For some people, they don't want that chance, and that's fine too. I don't think those people would make it this far in this video, though. They'd be off with those other distractions. I think there's too much. This video suggests too much of that, and I don't think people that don't want to see that would make it 42 minutes into this video. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't think so. Okay, almost done. Next is the season of philosophy. That's the time to record what you've learned along the way, especially if you chose some great life adventures where you're probably going to learn a lot through the experience of pain and failure and suffering, because that's always the best stuff comes from that, if you can survive it. And then you get a chance to write on the rafters of your own Siberia bridge what it is you've learned along the way and create your own book or novel of the experience, or video, or photo, or family story, or painting, or whatever the case it may be. The season of philosophy is the time to record and express what was the resultant consequence of our life and our great life adventures. Excuse me. Almost done. 3 more. Next is the Bullseye Aim. If I have a little throwing knife and I throw it, and maybe there's a target on that pillar right there. It's not likely I'm going to hit a bullseye. Once, twice, ever, maybe. It'll be a little off-center. Maybe once in a while I'll get it. So too in life. Almost every endeavor is usually off the mark by a little bit. Why do I hold ourselves? Why do I expect myself to hit a bullseye every time? It's unreasonable. Here comes another train. Maybe we'll hear it sound at Klondike. I think this video will be done by the time it gets here, though. Any second now. Next is short. Last one is long. That last one is just as they go through the crossing for the ghost town of Klondike. 2 more. Next one is the uphill climb. I struggle with this one, whether I'm going to keep it in. Uphill climb. My best living is always when I'm climbing uphill. And I'm climbing uphill right now today. I know this is going to be, just this day is going to be, you know, squeezed in the years to come if I live, years more. It's just going to be squeezed from today because it's an uphill climb. It was a hard day. It was hard to get out here last night. It was tough after 6 months of not being in the desert to come out here last night, to leave my family, to come out here to do this. You know, as Emerson says, you know, what does he say? I forsake father, mother, brother, son, daughter, when my muse calls, I forsake them, because this is the higher purpose, that beautiful chance to have that, and this is for me that, even though it's nonsense to many, it means a lot to me. So it's the uphill climb. I also liken it to I sometimes say the open ocean swim. Swimming out in the ocean, powering through, and suddenly you hit the choppy waves. And just try to keep on going, man. Once you get back to shore, it's going to be, wow, what an experience. The uphill climb, the open ocean swim. Don't know if I'm going to keep that, but I like it. Last one is arena and utility. This life is an arena for adventure and experience and education and change and virtue and beneficence and goodness and, to live. And all of the objectives and principles I just described are the utilities, are the tools that I use along my way to make this life worthwhile. Squeeze out as much as I can. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. But as we do, we're going to go walk right to the edge. Look at that out there. And I know it doesn't come through. You can't feel the heat. Just a hot blast furnace of air coming through right now. I'm going to step right out into it for just a little bit. I'm right here on the edge. Yeah. Whoops. The whole camera fell over. Here we go. Let's go out there. Yeah, that's it. It's out there. Be a fool to go out any further, so I won't. Burning my feet right now, burning my face. I don't even want to stand out here another 5 seconds. I'm out of here. Thanks everybody for joining me. Be safe, but not too safe, but not too dangerous either. I'm going back. Take care everybody. Bye-bye.